Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Agent Sunday.
I heard half.
How was that? Was that?
I heard
because
half
you know what?
of it. Half of it.
All right, I'll try. Happy Devils Free Agent Sunday. I went with the cue, so I started, even though I saw nothing. All right, bug number one of the night. Oh yeah. So, all right, so Free Agent Sunday. Wow, there's something on in the background we got to figure out.
Free Agent Sunday was pretty wild. It was pretty crazy right now.
Yeah,
so,
well,
I'll call you later. I'm talking to my brother on the phone right now. I'll call you later. I'm on air. Hi, my whole family's hanging out. Hi, guys.
Look at this, taking personal calls on company dollars.
Hey, man. You got to do what you got to do.
Hey, I hear you.
Anyways, sorry. I got a little distracted there. Well, yeah, no a lot of crazy things have been going on.
Yeah.
Yo, Kevin Weeks joining in. What's up, Kevin Weeks?
Yeah. How about that? I think the winners of the day are probably the Toronto fans. My Islander friends are not too pleased.
Oh my God! Hey, you know what? You and I were discussing something off air of people burning their jerseys, and we couldn't figure out why they would do that, or why would you burn a jersey? I remember when Colton left. I still have that jersey hanging in my closet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I still have mine too.
You pay good hard money for it. You're not going to go out and throw it away. That's for sure.
And here's what I don't understand the most. All right, fine. So you're upset at the players, so you burn the jersey. But not only do you burn that, the player's name and number, but you burn your club's crest and you burn your club's colors. That's something that you should not do on your own. You shouldn't be burning your own club's colors. Take the name off the back, fine. But when you burn a jersey, it's you're burning your club's colors. That's something that you don't do. Like, that's something that your rivals do to mock you. Like, there's that famous picture that I have that Sam also has somewhere of me burning a Messier jersey. Like, that's what we're supposed to burn Messier, like Ranger jerseys. Like Islander fans shouldn't be burning their own jerseys. So, but if that's what you choose to do, your hard-earned money, whatever, good for you. It's like when we were just talking off air about LeBron and when he first went to Miami on the first decision. People were burning his jersey in giant bonfires. Like, why? Why are you going to buy your? I just don't get why you're going to buy a jersey and burn it.
Why would you make a very valid point of like, why would you want to burn your team's colors? Like, just rip the name off the back. Do the old duct tape job and cover it up with duct tape and
like a protest.
You could do like the Cleveland Brown fans and like have a thousand different quarterback names on the back of their jersey. But I mean,
right.
I never understood
like
burning a jersey.
Yeah, it's just and
I know enough to do it, but
yeah, I know absolutely. I've been mad enough too, but like you said, it's your hard-earned money in that jersey, and it's your club's colors and your club crest on the front. It's like that burns as well when you burn the back. You can't just burn the back.
100%.
I mean, unless you want to cut your jersey in half and hang up the front.
Dude, if you're an Islander fan, just go out and get a Butch Goring and put it over top of the Tavares nameplate, and then boom, there you go. You got a brand new jersey.
Yeah.
Honoring the past. I got to say, I got to give a shout out to Kevin Weeks here. He said that I'm not worried about what Shero is doing. Everyone is up in arms. They don't have a top 4 defenseman. It's true. He made some AHL signings today, which is very true.
Yes,
a lot of the signings were depth signings. He says he trusts in Ray Shero. But I trust in Ray Shero too. I totally agree that he's. And so last year, we were talking about before too. Last year at this time, there weren't any significant moves. He tried to go after Shattenkirk, that didn't pan out. The next day, we end up with Marcus Johansson. So sometimes you just got to be patient. Just because noon happens at free agency is open until the beginning of the year. Let's not forget that. Yeah. It's not like you only have a small window to sign everybody.
No, that's very true. I was just, this is definitely the first. I've been interested in free agent day before. Don't get me wrong, but this is the first one that I'm covering, for the podcast. So I got real excited, and I'm sitting home ready. I'm like, all right, noon's coming around, and turned off the World Cup to turn on free agent, signings, and it was kind of lackluster. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the very beginning. A lot of stuff was announced, and then, the big talk was John Tavares. When he fell, that was the main talking point for the rest of the day. Was John Tavares.
And rightfully so. You know what I mean? Like it was gonna be the biggest chip. And as a Devils fan, it was kind of like, you know what? We knew he wasn't gonna be coming New Jersey's way, because he made his list of 5 teams and we weren't unfortunately on that list. So
yeah,
it kind of like knocked that right out of the bat. And then like just chips started falling. Like a lot of the guys that we were hoping that the Devils would go after, we thought they would be going after John Carlson. Nope, he re-signed like pretty much right away. We thought they would be going after, maybe John Tavares. Nope, he, the whole Toronto thing. We thought they'd go after JVR. Nope, he goes to Philadelphia. So a lot of things like that we were hoping would happen didn't happen, but that doesn't mean a trade can't happen. That doesn't mean, someone like James Neal is still out there. Calvin DeHaan is still out there. So there's a lot of names that are still floating around out there that hopefully, you take a flyer on, you try to see what's going on.
Yeah, and I understand there can still be some stuff tomorrow. It's I don't know. It's just watching 3. It was, we lost 3, we added 3, so we're even for the day. If you're just looking at numbers, Grabner leaves, going to Arizona. Moore went to Boston, and then it's escaping me. Here it is. And then we lost what's his name, Hayes, to Pittsburgh.
Hayes, I'm not too sad about. You have Brian Boyle, which Brian Boyle and Jimmy Hayes were kind of similar in the way they play and the style, who they are. There was a great question that was just brought up on Facebook by Brian. He said, how do you convince Taylor Hall to sign an extension next summer if he doesn't bring or improve the team? I think that will be taken care of. I don't think that I don't think that there's going to be. I don't think that. I think as Taylor Hall is concerned, I think we're fine in that aspect. I feel like there's going to be an extension as soon as I think next summer is the first time we're able to do it, but I wouldn't worry about that. I just have a feeling that he's going to be here for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that either. Especially, like you said, you are correct. It's just the first. It's not even the first 12 hours. We're still within that first window of time. The free agency opening up. There's still players available. We can still make trades. Trades can still happen. And, if we learned anything, that anyone is, with few exceptions, almost anyone can be traded from this team. So I think improvements will be made. And I know the Devils have been very good at not buying for buying's sake, but buying for what fits in the proper place. They're not trying to,
Agreed.
They're not cramming square pegs in round holes, which is what, that's what you want. You don't want just buying the shiny new toy. And you know what? We drafted pretty decently, so you never know.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was laughing. I was just reading. Douglas Walker said something really funny. He said, Isle should offer Sheet Matthews next year. Unfortunately, I don't think that's in Lou's repertoire of things that he likes to do.
No, it's not.
But that would be pretty funny. It's so funny. You brought up a really good point. And I don't want to steal your thunder on this one. I want you to tell everybody what you said to me.
I was just going to bring that up actually too. So there you go. With Lou leaving Toronto, and you have, Tavares going to. I can't talk anymore. All right, so Lou left Toronto for the Islanders. They did not re-sign Tavares. Tavares goes to Toronto. I'm wondering if there was a handshake deal between the two of them, between Lou and between Shanahan. Like, hey, I'll let Tavares go, but you're going to owe me something in the future. It just seems like there's got to be something.
I like that because that cloak and dagger type of stuff.
Yep.
I think it was just, I was reading, there were so many really funny things that were happening during this whole process. Like there was, a Ranger fan who trolled the Highlanders and basically said something along the lines of, watching Tavares go to Montreal or go to Toronto is really sad, especially for all 36, Islander fans. And then to the Islander fans' credit, he quipped back with, how does it feel to have Henrik for 13 seasons without a cup? And I can't talk either tonight. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, we both can't talk. I wish I would have explained my conspiracy theory better. I feel like it fell flat. That's a great comeback though. How's it feel to have Henrik? I would be ecstatic if Lundqvist left the Rangers and won the cup the next season. I would be ecstatic.
God, yeah. That'd be really funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Honestly, like him leaving, and then there's been a lot of news, regarding the Devils. They bring a couple of AHL signings, but those are all really good depth signings. One of the things that they did that I have to be honest with you, they brought in. I gotta look it up. I'm like all over the place. So yeah, you have to bear with me tonight because I'm like on Twitter, I'm on this, I'm on that. I'm trying to like follow all this news that's breaking around. I'm probably going to screw up his name. Eric Gryba.
Yes.
Eric Gryba, the defenseman that we got that played, was with the Oilers. I feel like it's a good signing. He brings a lot of grit. He's a tough kid. He's not like a lot of the players that we have on this team. And one of the funny things is as soon as he got drafted, Jesus, I'm all over. As soon as he got signed by the Devil, dude, I'm all over the place. My brain is like 10,000 different notes right now. He tweeted a picture of Putty with the face paint, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's a great welcome to the state and welcome to the team. Hello,
boys.
A good. Hey, I hear Sam.
Yes, I'm not on camera right now, but I just want to say hello. Hello to everybody on Facebook Live. I'm producing the show. I'm on a 5-second delay, but that's okay. The show still goes on. Show still goes on. Yeah, we got Kyle McKenna
That's
from
right.
EliteSportsNY.com at 9:18. So I'm gonna patch him in. You guys keep going, and I'll give you guys the cue. All right.
All right, awesome. Sounds good. All right.
Very good. Maybe he has some insight of some of the other people that the Devils might be targeting, like Calvin DeHaan.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping a little bit of insight on, we'll get his thoughts on what the Devils did. Maybe he has some insight like you're asking. And just asking about the day and a bunch of stuff. We'll have a good conversation. I'll be interested in what tomorrow brings and all that stuff.
Yeah. So David Holiday in our Facebook group had a question. Do you think the signing of Eddie Lack over bringing back Appleby, do you think he, in his opinion, he thought that Appleby was a little bit better? What are your thoughts about bringing back Lack and not retaining Appleby?
Well, Appleby's still UFA, but I don't think he's signed anywhere yet. That doesn't mean that we can't re-sign him tomorrow. He's just
True.
sitting out there. He's a UFA, and nothing against Ken Appleby.
They drafted 2 goaltenders in the last 2 years. So
yeah, that's
last
true.
2 drafts they've drafted 2 goaltenders. So maybe Appleby hasn't shown him enough.
That's possible as well. It's Lack also has a relationship already with Corey Snyder, and we were talking off air that maybe that's a little bit of an insurance, because I believe you brought up that Corey Snyder's not going to be absolutely 100% for the beginning. So that there could be why we signed Lack. The other thing too is you're correct. Maybe Appleby, who played really well, I might add, maybe Appleby just hasn't shown them enough, but maybe they're also trying to rework a contract. I mean, who knows? It's like I said, we're still within the first 12 hours of free agent signing. I don't think Ken Appleby, no disrespect to him, I don't think he's a hot commodity out on the open market right now. So
yeah,
there's still a chance to see him come in and still see him re-signed. That I feel like is one of those signings that takes place later on after all the all the priority business is taken care of, and then you re-sign players like Appleby later on. But you're right. So we have drafted other goaltenders. We drafted another one this year, for example. We've got plenty of goaltenders, so it's not like we're lacking in depth at goaltender either.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to touch on something. We'll have more time to talk about it after we have our phone conversation. The Devils bring in Chuck Fletcher, which I thought was an amazing move. Was a GM of the Minnesota Wild, worked with Ray Shero for a couple of years, from 2006 to 2009, I believe, in Pittsburgh with Ray Shero. And then in 2009 went to Minnesota. They bring him in to be like an assistant or a senior advisor to Ray Shero. And one of the guys that the Devils brought in, so there's a couple of them that I would love to talk about, because there's, John Ramage, John Ramage, one of the defensemen that the Devils signed today. A fun story about him. His father was drafted #1 overall by the Colorado Rockies, which, if anybody knows the history, was the New Jersey Devils before the Devils. So
I would hope all of our listeners know that history, because we do have the most educated listeners.
That is very true. He was the first overall pick in 1979 by the Colorado Rockies. So that's kind of cool, bringing that full circle. Cool. He's probably going to stay in the AHL. I don't think he might make an impact in camp. Who knows? They also brought in Curtis Gabriel, he's a forward from Minnesota, where he played with the Minnesota team. So you got to figure that has to be a tie-in by Fletcher, that he might know something about the kid, that he believes in him and wanted to bring him in. A lot of these are like 1-year deals. I think both of them are a 1-year deal with a 2-way contract. And then, like I said, and I apologize if Eric Greiba, if I'm messing up your last name. I believe his is a 1-year deal as well. 1 year, 2-way deal. but I feel like he might be able to crack the crack the lineup. So,
well, it sounds like a good
to be honest
question
with you,
to.
They're not terrible signings.
No, they're not. They're not. It's just I'm still trying to understand, 3 AHL players, but man, that's a good question for. We can get the thoughts from Kyle McKenna from EliteSportsNY.com. Kyle, are you there? This is Shorts Guy and Beer Baron. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Not a problem.
Hey,
how's your free agent day gone?
You know what? I was glued to the TV and my laptop, and I was telling Sam the other day, as this day was drawing near, I said, look, I think it's going to be a quiet day for the Devils. I know there's a lot of excitement going into this. That it might be a really big day for the Devils with all the cap room and ownership giving Shero the green light. But, I just don't think the timing was right for them to overpay for a lot of the free agents that were available this summer. So, that was my day. It was exciting to see. I know Islander fans don't want to hear it, but I think it's kind of exciting also to see Tavares go to a different team. I think that's exciting for Toronto, and I think it's really exciting for the sport too.
Yeah,
I got to say, LeBron James couldn't give Tavares one day to live this up. He couldn't give him one day. He could have waited to sign with LA tomorrow.
Which is, I'm not much of an NBA guy, but it is very odd to get LeBron James in the Lakers uniform. So
it just makes the NBA harder to watch.
Right.
Yeah, no, Kyle, I have to agree with you. I think it's going to be pretty cool for Tavares. I have a lot of friends, a lot of really good friends and close friends that are Islander fans. And I hate seeing a player like that leave, especially a player that has, been on the team, the Hardier team for such a while. But in reality, the guy gets to go home and play for the team that he grew up loving. So that's pretty cool.
Right. Look, we're all human, right? I think a lot of the times we forget that these guys are human. And I'm sure this is something that's been on his mind for a long time and longer than most of us actually know or think. Look, if you're a Devils fan, you kind of have experience in this department, right? With Holik, Gomez, Parisi, the list kind of goes on. So
you don't have to cut us that deep, man.
It doesn't. It makes sense. Like I said, to see him with that young core that the Maple Leafs have going with Nylander, Marner, and Austin Matthews, and they've got a good goalie, Freddie Anderson. Huge believer in Freddie Anderson. So, Toronto is, it's a potential dynasty right there. It's exciting stuff, whether you want to admit it or not. You kind of wish the Devils were in on the action, right, for Tavares. That's one guy you definitely, I think, in my opinion, overpay for. But for whatever reason, the Devils were not on his list.
So a quick question about something that you just brought up about all the names that you rattled off for Toronto. They do have an amazing young core, and then bringing Tavares in, they automatically have to jump up in the contenders for the cup, but they can't hold on to all that talent. You know what I mean? So there's got to be somebody that's going to be the castaway or the cast off from that, whether it be Nylander, which is a name that I saw thrown around a lot. Do you believe that, and we've seen Shero do a move like this in the past, do you feel that he could possibly approach Toronto or a team like that and say, hey, you have, you're going to have a cap issue very shortly, so maybe we can take one of these guys off your hands?
Look, I completely agree with you. I think there's going to be GMs doing that. I just don't see the Maple Leafs making that deal in the Eastern Conference. I don't see why they would. There's plenty of other options, as much of a dream scenario that is for the New Jersey Devils to go out and say, hey, look, Toronto, let's make a deal. I just think Toronto will be like, look, we have plenty of other options, and we're not going to try and help a team that's on the rise just to make room for salary cap purposes.
True.
But, with cap rising, and a lot of these guys are really young, so the Leafs kind of have an advantage with saying what kind of contract they're going to get and how much money they're going to get. A lot of times these guys really don't have that much power over the authority to ask for certain years and money until, they're 27, 28 years old. So if they can get these guys locked up ASAP, I think over time you'll see that. I think the Maple Leafs will find a way to keep these guys intact. And look, I mean, they just let 3 or 4 guys walk away that all made some decent money today. Even like a guy like Komarov, James Van Riemsdyk, Bozak. So, I mean, those guys are off the books. So I think it's possible that Toronto could find a way to keep these guys intact. I think there's always a way.
Good point.
Yeah. So what do you think of Eric Greiber that we picked up today?
Well, I mean, if you really, really want to know what my thoughts are about the Devils here on free agency day, I mean, I just think they're collecting bodies to stock up in the AHL because maybe there's some hope here, boys. Maybe there's a big deal for Erik Karlsson in the midst. You never know.
Ooh.
I mean, they're going to have to cough up some really young pieces, guys that aren't at the NHL level yet, draft picks. So, I mean, we're looking at a lot of ammunition that the Devils are going to have to cough up. They want to go and get a guy like Erik Karlsson, which I absolutely think they should. As I mentioned earlier, timing is everything. I think right now is the time to go out and get a player in a trade for the New Jersey Devils. I wasn't impressed with this free agent class. I don't think they should have spent any money on any of those players, including James Van Riemsdyk. A guy who's 29 years old, and we probably would have regretted signing him 3 years down the line. I think a guy like Eric, guy that you hold on, you lock up for a very long time. We have the cap space. Go get him.
That's a great point, and there's a couple other names being thrown around too, like Skinner from Carolina. Do you see that as being a possibility as well, or someone that they could target?
Yeah, I don't see why not, because as we were just saying before, look, Toronto may not be willing to trade a guy like a Nylander or Skinner away, right? But I mean, the Hurricanes are in such bad shape right now that I think they'll be willing to trade with anyone. Even like I'm saying, the Ottawa Senators, I think they're just in such bad shape that, if the deal is right, they'll trade within the division, or they'll trade with a rival. I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are on Skinner, but I mean, I think it'd be a nice little fit, especially under John Hines. I'm very impressed with how Hines has developed a lot of these players, and even some no-name guys. Maybe this guy, help me out with his last name again, Gerba.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out too. Greiber.
Yeah.
That's what we're going with.
Right. Okay, Greiba. I mean, at best, probably going to be a 5th or 6th defenseman, or competing with Ben Lovejoy to not be a healthy scratch, as a wise man once told me. But you never know with some of these guys. But I mean, to sign kind of like 3 random AHL skill level players, I just feel like that's a move for a bigger and a future purpose, if that makes sense. And like I said, I mean, maybe they're just stocking up bodies because they're going to need them if they part ways to make a big deal.
Yeah, no, you definitely make a good point about stocking up if you're going to make a move later on. We're also talking about the signing of Eddie Lack that happened yesterday, which kind of surprised the 3 of us a little bit. Aside from the fact that Corey Snyder might need a little bit more time at the beginning of the season, just having some insurance, I was a little bit surprised that they re-signed Eddie Lack.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think there are other options, especially if you are worried about Corey Schneider not being available. I mean, is Eddie Lack really the best option? I don't necessarily think so. I mean, for whatever reason, maybe they see something that we don't, and maybe they didn't want to spend. Clearly, they didn't want to spend money, right? And weren't comfortable and confident with a lot of this in the free agent class. So maybe he was just the safest option. And maybe they're comfortable with the idea of, they believe that they can develop this guy Eddie Lack, even though he's really. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but he just hasn't panned out to be the goaltender that he was originally supposed to be. So I'm right there with you. Very surprised Lack was re-signed for sure.
I mean, he does have a pretty good relationship with Snyder, so that would be my thought. It's just it's someone that I know Snyder's got to trust Kincaid at this point as well. But Snyder's played with Lack before, and it may just be a comfort thing too for Snyder as well.
Yeah, maybe it's just a package deal. You know what I mean? It's a wingman thing. Like, look, this is a good buddy of mine. Clearly, Corey's confidence looked a little rattled this year, maybe. So maybe making sure he's as comfortable as possible, and has some other people around him to feed him the confidence and things that he wants to hear at certain times is, something that's valued by the New Jersey Devils, and probably not the worst idea in the world, I guess, if you only have to stick Eddie Lack in net. You're hoping at most like a handful of times next season. So I guess, yeah, I mean, it's a good point, but still ultimately definitely, surprised.
We'll use Eddie Lack
Yeah,
every
and-
time we play the Lightning. He'll just be the Lightning killer from here on out.
Right. Yeah, that's I think Devil fans will always remember that, oddly too. You know what I mean? It's one of those games where this guy will have like no contribution whatsoever to the New Jersey Devils and their success, but there's just something about last year that was so magical, and he's just like that random guy that will always be in the hearts of like New Jersey Devils fan base.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
always
I'm a
endeared to
goalie
us,
as well. So any type of awesome goalie performance, I'm all about remembering.
It was a
Right,
career high
especially
43 saves, if I remember.
goalie wise. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but it's like Brodor-esque, right? Every memory you have is like a Brodor memory, from a goaltending performance along with KK's significant stretch towards the playoffs. But so, Eddie Lack is like in this small class of memorable goaltending performances in New Jersey Devils history.
Yeah, it's funny because you bring up such a good point. There's like guys that make small contributions, but we always endear them into our hearts. And that, for whatever reason, last year, I mean, I think it was like a career day for him, like 43 saves or whatever it was. But that was like something, oddly enough, that Shorts guy and I, anytime we bring up Eddie Lack, that's something that we always talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember watching that game, and I mean, look, the guy played his butt off and made a hell of a lot of saves, but I mean, it was funny too. Just the fact that it was Eddie Lack of all people, who would have thought? But just a couple quick questions for you guys. I mean, I don't know. I know we didn't get to Patrick Maroon. I'm hoping the Devils do bring back Patrick Maroon. I was really impressed with him last season, and I just thought he was a really good fit. I don't know what your guys' take is on that.
100%. I really hope that they bring him back. He brings good size. He's shown in the past that he can play on the line with the likes of Connor McDavid. So the guy's got what it takes to hang with anybody that's got elite skill. For somebody as big as he is, and it may not be the fastest guy, but he has such good hands. And you saw that really start to kind of click with Miles Wood. So, in my opinion, I really hope, and there's a lot of talk that he is still in negotiations with a lot of teams. St. Louis might be a place that he'll land because that's where he's from, and he has a lot of ties to that area. But I really do hope that Patrick Maroon comes back. I don't know. What do you think, Shorts guy?
No, I'm right with you on that one, and I think you and I have been in agreement all year that Maroon was a great pickup, and I really do hope that we do re-sign him. And I know that Greibe is coming from Edmonton as well, so I'm wondering if we have to look into it if there's a friendship between the two of them. Maybe Greibe's maybe he's a package deal with Maroon. I really don't know. I'm just speculating at this point. But yeah, bringing Maroon in, the way that he played. I am all about him re-signing 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys both made a great point too about he's not the fastest skater, but he does have really a good touch and a good feel with the puck when he's in close around the net. He's maybe this is being a little nice, but he's a poor man's JVR. But I was just really impressed with his play behind the net too. The New Jersey Devils behind the goal line and directly behind the net, if he comes back, look, that's Patrick Maroon's office, because his composure and his ability to create time and space and feed the puck into the slot, especially on the power play, was really impressed. And I think that's something the Devils were lacking for a couple years. And look,
Agreed.
Special teams are so crucial when it comes to a team that's competing for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the Devils I don't believe they were a top 10 power play team. They might have finished in 11th. But a guy like Patrick Maroon is really going to help boost that power play and keep it in that vicinity of, an above average power play with his big body in front of the net. And I just think he becomes a completely different player when he's around the net behind the goal line. You know what I mean? His skill level almost goes up, 50%. I don't know what it is, but he is just comfortable, with the puck on his stick behind the nets. And, you got to give a guy credit. You bring him in at the trade deadline. his numbers kind of took a dive last season after he had that almost 30-goal season with Connor McDavid. But I really thought he embraced being a New Jersey Devil. And, you always want to keep guys around the advantage of opportunities. And that's what I saw with Patrick Maroon. So I think that there's a character thing there, too, that would really go a long way with this up-and-coming New Jersey Devils team.
Yeah, and I have to say this, first of all, to our friend Aaron Danielson on our Facebook group. Welcome to the show. Thanks for finding us. He brought up a really good point that if he says, if you give him a full off season to gel with the team, imagine how good he could be. So it's a great point. You bring him in, or if you bring him back, now you're giving him a full off season to really work with the team. You give him like a couple-year contract, a 2-3 year contract, and that gives him enough time to really gel with the team. And like you said, work that power play. He showed there was a lot of points when he was with the Devils last year where you look at a guy like that, like I said, you don't realize how skillful he is with the puck. And there was one play in particular where he held onto the puck. It felt like a solid minute, and was able to like work his way throughout the zone and feed over a perfect pass. And it's just he fits this team really well. A great personality. There's a video of him trying to get Aaron Judge to swap jerseys with him, which is really funny. He's calling out from the stands. But I feel like he was a great fit for the team. So hopefully they get him back.
Yeah, I think the last question you have to look at with Patrick Maroon is, does he make his teammates around him better? And I think he does. And I think ultimately that's something you really have to take into serious consideration.
We have Kyle. We have a question from one of our listeners. Are you convinced that the owners are going to let Shero spend or add payroll? Like a trade, or just go outright and spend it in free agency? Are you convinced the ownership's going to give Shero those, the keys to the ship for that?
Like free agency, like I said before, I just don't think there's much to spend this off season, and I think you're just better off holding on to that money to spend on the available free agents this year and just spend it on next year's class. Even though some guys are already locked up, like a Drew Doughty, we're expecting Erik Karlsson to come in, go somewhere on a trade, so he may not be available. But if you look at that class, it's a better class than this year. So I think you're better off saving your money for free agents this time around, and then, plan on spending in the near future. Or, like I said, I think you really can't go wrong with a trade at this point for the Devils if it's a player like Erik Karlsson. Not just someone who's hot right now and whose value is wanted at the moment. I think that there's a long-term picture here in New Jersey, and I just don't think right now I don't see any significant signings happening with the New Jersey Devils right now.
Kyle, we've spoken a lot on this show about how Shero is not trying to fit square pegs in round holes. He seems to be looking for the right person and not just the shiniest toy on the market, essentially.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think you stole the words right out of my mouth. And, Shero, look, he's done a really good job, guys. I don't think he gets enough credit for the job that he's done and what the situation he walked into when he first took over. I mean, the reality is, look, Lou Lamoriello, fantastic, Hall of Famer, but the team was really left in shambles in a really poor spot. So you got to give credit to Ray Shero. I mean, he took some chances and, went after a guy like Kyle Palmieri, and it just, things worked out. And I think he's a great communicator. I think John Hines is as well. And I think they just have a good eye for talent and what would be, a good fit for this team, and not the shiniest name or, the most sought after player like we've seen teams across the river do in the New York Rangers in the past. But, yeah, I mean, if you're a New Jersey Devils fan, you got to stay patient. It's coming. You guys are going to get back there. Don't worry.
Yeah, and there's something that we have to touch on that I'm surprised we haven't even talked about. That we haven't even talked about on the show yet is the fact that Martin Brodeur has been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame, which was kind of a no-brainer, and everybody knew that as soon as he's eligible to be inducted into the Hall of Fame that it was going to happen. But what are your thoughts on Marty making the Hall?
I mean, yeah. Look, it was just obvious. I'm glad. I think I heard somewhere that the votes were unanimous. Like he got 100% of the votes. You know, he is. He's the greatest of all time. You know, sorry, Patrick Waugh. I mean, you're second best. There will never be another Martin Brodeur.
No, absolutely not.
Just like the way he played and how he conducted himself. Look, yeah, I get it. He had a cup of coffee with the St. Louis Blues, but he was a New Jersey Devil for life. And, you know, there's not too many guys who are going to the Hall of Fame that can say that. I will say, not to change the subject, very surprised that Daniel Alfredsson didn't get in and Curtis Joseph. I think they both got snubbed. Love Martin St. Louis.
Agreed.
I don't think it was his time in the Hall of Fame. I think he should have had to have waited. Very surprised that he's in. And then a guy like Daniel Alfredsson is not. I don't know how I feel about that one. I mean, Marty, look, we can go on for days about Martin Brodeur and everything not only did for the New Jersey Devils, but look, the trapezoid's there on the ice for Martin Brodeur. You know, when you go to a game with a young fan, they ask, what are those lines? Guarantee it doesn't matter what team you play for, Martin Brodeur's name is brought up. But, I mean, yeah, I was kind of sad not to see a guy like Daniel Alfredsson get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Marty changed. He changed the whole position with his puck handling skills, and like you brought up the trapezoid, which, you know, was essentially the Brodeur rule, and he deserves every right to be in the Hall of Fame. And you know, Patrick Waugh's up there too because his style of play and the butterfly style that he, you know, brought into the game that changed the goaltending position forever as well. You know, both awesome goaltenders, definitely 1 and 2, with Brodeur being number 1 and Waugh being number 2. But you cannot deny the fact that they changed the game.
Henrik Lundqvist is the second best goaltender. No.
Yeah. Okay.
I have breaking news, gentlemen. Breaking news. A huge signing in the NHL right now. Halak to the Boston Bruins. Just letting you know.
Is your Twitter behind again? That happened earlier.
It's weird. I know.
Oh,
because
man.
I'm like refreshing through. I'm like, hey, you never know, something might be happening, or like trying to check news real quick. And as soon as I jump on, that's the first thing to happen. I'm like, come on, Twitter, get it together, would you?
No. All right, Kyle, we would like to thank you for joining us tonight. I'm sure you've had a busy day. If you get in touch with Sammy, we have a Let's Go Devils podcast T-shirt that we'd like to send you for being a guest. So give your info to Sam, and we'll get one out to you shortly. And I have a good rest of your night, man.
Fellas, thanks for having me on. I always enjoy listening to you. And just really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's awesome. So keep it up.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. And again, for everyone tuning in, that was Kyle McKenna from EliteSportsNY.com giving us his thoughts and his insight on the Devils signings today. The what hopefully is bringing in bodies for a hopeful big trade coming up shortly, which will be nice. But hey, that's all speculation at this point.
Wouldn't that be said awesome? The Eric Carlson thing, and my stomach the butterflies just jumping around in my stomach. Imagine that. I mean, like, that's the thing is like you don't really know what a lot of these signings are for. Exactly. But that's a hell of a point right there. You know, you got to stock up the cupboards to get something back in return. So maybe that's what they're gunning for. And it's funny because I'm trying to read on our Facebook group, and you know, there's a bunch of really interesting points that are being laid out there. Like David Holliday on the Facebook group said, word from Edmonton was always that Maroon needed a kick now and then to get motivated. It's, you know, to be honest with you, if that's the case, I think John Hines is the perfect coach for that, because we saw this year, you know, what happened to the guys that, you know, seemed like they were slacking off or their play was like starting to dip. And, benched. You know, they got benched, or they got, you know, benched. Yeah, they got their self straightened out. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he seems to, you know, Hines seems to just know what buttons to push on the players, and knows when to push them, when to hold them back, when to let them go, which again, I think really goes to the point of the Devils are not putting square pegs in round holes. I've said that phrase too much tonight, but it's true. They're finding the right guys to fit in with this system, and they're finding the right guys that they know Hines can work with, and that will work with Hines as well.
Yeah.
It's, Kyle said something that, at the end, that the Devils are building something. We just got to be a little bit patient. And I completely agree. There's definitely something being built here, and all the talk's going to be about Toronto and Toronto this, Toronto that, and that's fine. They can talk about Toronto, and we'll just fly under the radar for a little bit. It's Toronto's been waiting for quite a long time, and who's to say that this is not? A lot of players have gone to Toronto, and faltered under that spotlight.
Yeah, which I hope doesn't happen for Tavares. And it's funny because we look at it from an outside perspective. When Parise left, and a lot of his thing was, I want to go home and play in my home state, and I want to be close to my family, and blah blah blah. Devils fans killed him over that.
Because he did not say that leading into it. He said, the Devils are my team. The Devils are my team. He did not 100%. Say he wanted. That's the problem with that.
And he also dragged his feet a little bit. And it wasn't like an 3 days or something like that.
Which the analyst I saw on TV today brought up all of the guys that Lou has let go. And I know Kyle brought that up too.
Kovalchuk.
Parise, yeah. So I heard another interesting thing about Toronto. I feel like this is the Let's Go Leafs podcast tonight. We're talking so much about Toronto. The last time that Toronto's won a playoff series, the captain was Matt Sundin, and the goaltender they said was Eddie Belfour. Two names I haven't heard in forever. Holy crap! And they basically made the point that there's a whole generation of Leaf fans that have never seen them win a playoff series, which is wild to me. I mean, we had 5 years before, from being in the playoffs. Hopefully we're winning at least a series next year. But could you imagine going that long without winning a series?
Could you imagine going, 50 years without winning a cup? Hopefully it doesn't happen, but it's funny. It's funny because Brian in the Facebook group said, if this team takes a step back and they miss the playoffs, what is that telling Hall about the commitment of winning the cup? What it tells you is that this team is still developing, and that what happened last year was they were way ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
he played way beyond his means, and the Devils caught lightning in a bottle per se. A lot of things fell right for them. They played really well. I don't think that they're going to take a monster step back, but it can happen. Look at Edmonton. Edmonton a year before, they were a team on the rise, and everybody thought that they thought that they were going to be in the playoffs again and making a serious run, and then they didn't even make the playoffs. That's the thing about the NHL. There's so much parity. You know what I mean? It's not like it used to be where the same 8 teams make it in over and over and over again. I mean, there's a couple of consistent teams that are always in there, but at the same time, there's a lot of teams that are going to make up those last 4 or 5 spots that are always going to be changing and interchanging, which is great for the sport.
Agreed. But speaking of Edmonton, there's got to be something wrong there in the culture that they can have that much talent and not do anything. So that's just, I don't know. I'll stop before I.
Congratulations to David Perlmutter. He said, "Good evening, gents. Sorry to be late, but he just got engaged. So congratulations, you and Blake Coleman today. You and Blake Coleman got engaged in the same day. So that's something fun that you can enjoy.
And I'm sure there's got to be some kind of a free agent joke we can make there. Really cool. That is awesome. Either you're off the free agent market, or your fiance is off the free agent market. One of the two. So well done, David. Well done.
Yeah, dude, it's I'm telling you, there's a few names that are still floating out there, guys. Don't forget. I think in my opinion, I'll ask you this question: who is the one person that you want to see the Devils sign that is left? I'm glad Shero didn't go out and throw a ton of cash at people. That was one of the things that I love Lou Lamoriello. Always will love Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah,
but
totally.
There were some times where he threw money at people that didn't deserve it. Ryan Clough, for example.
That was towards the end of his stint as Devils general manager, because he never did that early on. It just seems to be like he did that more towards the end. It's like they were trying to make a splat. Like after the Kovalchuk deal, that just seems to me like a jump the shark moment with Lou, where it wasn't him completely in charge. Which using the phrase jump the shark is
pressure from the outside.
Yeah. That's really what I think it was. As far as who I would like to see, I'm going to be very general with this one. I want to see the Devils pick up whoever's going to fit best with the team and the system. Whether or not it's a big name, or if it's a name that we may not generally recognize, my hope is that they're going to continue the system that they have and continue signing the players that fit into that system. That's my hope.
Yeah. Brian just said James Neal and Dahan. Dahan would be a good signing. I think he's a solid defenseman.
You've been asking about James Neal too all day.
All day, man. And the thing is James Neal, the only thing that concerns me is there's rumors of like he's not the greatest off the ice. That he might have some he might have some party boy tendencies or some kind of crazy crap like that.
Then the Devils won't sign him.
To answer Eric's question, Eric, no, Rico is not. But the good news about that is if there's talks about him signing an extension in Anaheim, which breaks my heart because I was hoping that he becomes a free agent next year and he would be coming back. If he does sign an extension with the Ducks, then the Devils recoup a 3rd round pick. So there's a silver lining to that. Do you see Shero trading for Karlsson if it makes sense for the team? I don't think he'll mortgage the team just to get Erik Karlsson. Although, don't get me wrong, I would be jumping for joy. But at the same time, somebody mentioned it earlier, and I kind of want to give credit to whoever said it. But somebody was saying the best scenario would be Karlsson signs an extension with Ottawa and then gets instantly flipped and traded, which means you don't have to worry about it next year. Because remember Kovalchuk, like we got Kovalchuk, but it was like the whole season, when we first got him, it was like, this is awesome. This is amazing. Great. Holy crap. Is he going to sign with us again? And then that whole drama unfolded. I don't know if I want to go through that again. Like if we sign Karlsson or if we get him in a trade, there has to be a guarantee that he's going to get locked up for a while.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hey, we need to introduce our second guest caller of the evening from the Devils Army blog. DevilsArmyBlog.com is Mike Lucci. Mike, how's it going? It's Shorts Guy and Beer Baron.
What's going on, guys? Good to talk to you guys again. Pretty quiet first day on the Devils front, but still didn't stop the day from having some interesting big stories. So I've kind of been covering that for the blog all day. Devils really haven't done much in that regard. I know that's something you guys have been covering, but pretty. I like to say that day one of free agency kind of went as most people in the hockey world expected. I know there's a couple of people out there who are pretty disappointed that Devils haven't done much. I know that we're still waiting on some decisions from some key free agents. So definitely still plenty of time for people to keep their heads up. Definitely no reason not to expect Shero won't do anything between now and the next couple of days. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at things right now.
No, totally. We both agree with you right there. Go ahead, Beer Brand.
No, I'm sorry. Now, do you feel that that Dahan or James Neal is worth signing? Let's say that they can get either or both of those players. Do you feel like would you like to see either of them come onto the Devils? Do you think James Neal would be a good fit?
Well, before I answer that, I think one of the things I really want to clarify is number one, historically, Ray Shero has never really been a big spender in free agency. Even dating back to his time in Pittsburgh.
Very true.
he made a couple of decent signings during that time, like signing Sergei Gonchar. I think he was the one who signed Paul Martin for the Penguins, for example. He called on Zach Parise, but the majority of his big moves have always been trades, and I think that's something that's really starting to stand out. Kind of becoming a bit of an established tendency for Shero, especially now as he goes on to his second team. But yeah, to get back to your point though, Shero's not going to sign a player just for the sake of signing a player, and I think that for me, that's the kind of scenario that comes to mind when I hear people still, clamoring. Hopefully, they'll sign a guy like James Neal, Calvin DeHaan. From the reports I've heard, James Neal's looking for something like 5-6 year deal, super long term. He's hoping to get upwards of $7 million a year, especially which is kind of similar to what guys like James Van Riemsdyk got, Evander Kane, people he's gonna compare himself to. So if he's looking for a contract like that, I could definitely go on. I could definitely go without him. If he's willing to sign something a little shorter, yeah, absolutely, he would be a phenomenal piece to help run that top six, especially when you look at his track record. He kind of reminds me of if Mike Camilleri was a little younger and healthier. I feel that's what they would have got. They would have gotten the skill set that James Neal brings in right now is kind of what they would have gotten back in 2014. So that's kind of what a potential James Neal acquisition would remind me of. But in terms of Calvin DeHaan, I've never really been too big at throwing big money contracts at these stay-at-home defenseman type blue liners. I really think that they, especially when there's injury history involved, it really increases the risk. I just think, they're a lot of them, the deals they get are just a result of inflated market, knee-jerk competition, teams falling all over them just for the sake of signing a player. So, in that regard, Calvin DeHaan really probably isn't someone I wouldn't go after. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably rather pick James Neal, but just to reiterate what I said before, if he's not willing to lower his contractual demands, he's someone else I'd be more than willing to see the Devils not even bother with it. It means putting a constraint in their cap situation.
Yeah, so I just have a quick question because somebody in the Facebook group just brought up a really good question. He's saying that the Devils made the playoffs. This is Art from the from our Facebook group. He said the Devils made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. They need to improve the team to convince Hall to stay. Do you think that that's something that necessarily has to happen, or do you feel like Taylor Hall is embedded into this team where he's going to be here for a while?
It's really, it's really hard to say. Like, especially when you look at the way things went down with John Tavares. I think moving forward, teams are going to be a little more hesitant to commit to players going into the last year of their contract if they're not willing to begin negotiating long term when they're able to. Having said that, though, Taylor Hall, he got his first taste of the playoffs with New Jersey this year. I think he knows when his current contract situation expires in 2019, 2020, he has an opportunity. Does he either go for big bucks, or is he going to put himself in the best scenario to win? So yeah, having said that, I definitely think it's going to be important to definitely build a solid base around Hall. I think even before he came here, Ray Shero has really done a great job of getting those kind of long-term assets to build around him, like Nico Hischier, for example, Will Butcher, Vatanen on the blue line. Guys like, in addition to Hischier, Kyle Palmieri, Miles Wood. So, he's got a nice core in place. I'm sure if Shero has the opportunity to, he'll definitely be able to add to it. But with that said, though, it doesn't mean he's going to just sign players for, the sake of signing players. So Devils fans could see headlines about them making a big acquisition on July 1st on their social media news feeds. The other thing too, what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the moves that happen this off season are definitely going to affect what Taylor Hall's contract's going to look like when
100%.
When he's eligible to sign in a year from now. I think his contract expires in 2020. So Ray Shero literally can sign to anything for another 365 days. So here's something interesting too worth bringing up. Between the deals that guys like James Van Riemsdyk, James Neal going to get, Evander Kane. Let's keep in mind too, over the next year or so, you're going to see a lot of the top forwards on the 2019 class eligible for extensions. That list right now includes, and check this out, you have Jordan Eberle, he's 28, he makes $6 million. Matt Duchene, 27, makes $6 million. Pavelski, 33, $6 million. This is their AAVs coming off their current contracts that expire next year. Artemi Panarin, 26, $6 million. Tyler Seguin and Jeff Skinner, they're both 26. They make $5.7 million. Blake Wheeler's 31. He's going to make $5.6 million. So you have to figure out of that list of 7, 8 people, not only are all of them similar in age to Taylor Hall and make similar salary, you have to figure the majority of those people are probably going to wind up resigning over the next year or so. And a lot of them, a lot of those names I mentioned are definitely going to be due for substantial raises. So you look at Taylor Hall, he got 93 points this year. Between the salary cap going up next year, probably by another, 4 or 5, 2 to 4 million. Taylor Hall getting 93 points this year. Even if he gets 70 to 80 points this year, he would have gotten at least 160 points in the last 2 years. Only 9 other players in the NHL have done that between this season and last season. So I guess the point I'm trying to get at is, Taylor Hall's next contract has the opportunity to be monstrous, especially with the leverage on his side. He could probably feel entitled to ask for an AAV of, anywhere from 12 to 13 million, especially if the salary cap continues to increase. So, I know I've been rambling on for the past minute or so, but just to kind of circle back, if Shero, gives into impulses and splurges on this year's free agent market, signs someone to a big long-term deal just for the sake of, signing someone, that'll definitely affect his ability to lock up Taylor Hall long-term, even though anyone he might sign this offseason was brought in with the intention of building around him long-term.
Yeah, that brings up like another point of if they're not going to try and go after somebody in the free agency pool that we have left, a la a Neil or a Dehan, do you see them making any kind of impactful trade for, as our previous caller talked about, even a Carlson or even going after Skinner or somebody like that?
Yeah, I think most likely that's probably the route Cheryl's going to take. I don't, as a lot of people probably might remember, that's kind of the route he took last year. And I remember there was a lot more expectations for the Devils to make more of a big move last year when they didn't. But I could definitely see Shero taking that route right now. He's probably waiting for all the dust to settle. After teams splurging say on the free agent market, and he's probably going to be that outlet teams are going to turn to execute their plan Bs after missing out on certain players. That outlet teams might go to in an attempt to release some salary, because right now the Devils have the fourth highest amount of cap space, I think, among NHL teams. So that's something. Something other general managers might try and take advantage of in that regard. Where it'll be a situation like last year when Shero got Marcus Johansson. I could definitely see him pulling a similar move in the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that cap space and the desire to keep Paul, you just have to assume that they've had this conversation with him, at least in passing. Like, hey, we're looking to build something here, and we want you to be the center point. You would have to just assume that conversations happened already.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And don't think that drafting someone like Nico Hischier really didn't, which was larger than expected. But don't think like something like that didn't astronomically expedite those plans, or really help stabilize that long-term model that the Devils organization wants for all to be the centerpiece of. So he's someone else too. Shero's going to be able to extend next year long term. And you look at some of these deals that in recent years that teams been signing players to. The Eriksson deal in Vancouver looks really bad right now. The Lucic deal in Boston looks really bad right now. And while on paper you could argue those deals were good for the team at the time, I think those are the kind of deals that Shero was probably trying to avoid. Those are the kind of deals I feel like that were made by general managers for the sake of them signing a player, them making a big splash to appease their fan base. So, I think Shero's really smart by not getting sucked into those scenarios when, especially when you step back, you look at the big picture and what else is at stake moving forward. It was a brief jump for joy this offseason. Sign some of the things. God.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, absolutely. And Mike, unfortunately, our time with you is running short, so we're gonna have to leave it at that. Mike Lucci, thank you so much from Devils Army Blog, devilsarmyblog.com. Thank you for coming on. I know it's been a busy day for you, like it's been a busy day for us and everyone else covering this awesome team that we have in New Jersey. So, Mike Lucci, we want to thank you for coming on, and we'll have you back again at some point. Awesome. That was Mike Lucci giving us his insight on the Devils. Always great to hear. Man,
one of the reasons I like talking to Mike is because Mike is very in depth about what he's talking about. There's so many crazy things that have been going on in the NHL right now with obviously Tavares and then Ryan O'Reilly getting traded to the St. Louis Blues. Which could change or impact things for Patrick Maroon. So, it's going to be, it's just things unfold. It takes a couple of days for all these things to kind of settle down. And it might, like he said, it might be a couple of days before we know anything, because Shero's been known to make more trades than he's been known to go into, the free agency pool. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I think I was a little extra excited this year, covering free agency for the podcast and like, all right, we'll have stuff to talk about. But no, it's you've been saying it, and then Mike said it that it's well, first of all, we know Shero's not going to spend that big money off the bat, one, and two, like we've heard, his history is with trades, and also with the knowledge that we've spoken about that he's not going to buy a player just for the sake of buying a player. So it's, Sam always says, since Sam can't join us, trust the process. Yep. We're going to have to trust the process with this one. And I completely agree. But you made a good point earlier, and I'm going to bring something up now. Martin Brodeur is going to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going? That's the question.
I wish we could figure it out a way to get into the induction ceremony and do like a live podcast from the ceremony. You know what I mean? Like that'd be pretty
guys, I gotta jump in here.
Oh man! Speaking of trust the process, look who decided to show up.
Yeah, that was my this is my bit of the show. So I spoke to a very high level Devils official about that, and that person, and I'm not going to name names.
You never name names, Sam.
I know. Said, I don't know. Let me get back to you later. Now that's a no. That official.
In the words
Actually,
of Lloyd Christmas, you're telling me there's a chance.
Here, I'll read the email. I got to keep this confidential, but it said,
don't say the name.
Okay. Not sure how the invites work. We'll keep you posted when I know more.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance. There is a chance that we're going to Toronto sometime in, was it first week or second week of November?
The
you
12th,
have,
I believe. Whatever that weekend of the 12th is.
Yeah, you have Remembrance Day. Is it Remembrance Day? No, Veterans Day.
Veterans Day is the 11th. That I'm bringing up November's calendar now. Yeah. Veterans Day is the 11th. That would be on Sunday. I think the 12th is the Hall of Fame ceremony. Yeah.
So we're going to have to figure out how to get there. In order to attract attention, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold up a sign.
Jet. Yeah, well, the private jet.
Oh, yeah. Hold on a sec. Let me get to the private jet.
Wait, we need to start the GoFundMe page to get our private jet going. And whoever is involved with trying to get us that jet will be more than happy to bring you to Toronto.
There it is. There's the private jet. That's the only way I'm going to be able to make that and make it to work on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Make it to work on Tuesday with no voice. All right, let's settle down.
That's that's what I call a Monday, making it to work with no voice. I just call that a Monday.
So, that Devil's official, okay? If you can get us in there, I will stand outside in my Marty gear for one last time and be the replica of the Marty statue that's outside of Prudential Center and just stand there like that. I think we can make a lot of money.
We can to
go towards the airplane, our own private jet.
I at least would love to go to Toronto just for all the stuff that weekend. Now, if we get into the Hall of Fame induction ceremony on Monday, that's a plus. But I really want to go up for that weekend.
Let me tell you what, I have yet to make it to the Hockey Hall of Fame in general, just to go up there and see it. And it's on my bucket list of things to do in my life before I croak. And the way I'm living, at the terrible way I eat, that's going to be sooner than later. So I need to get up there.
Is your passport ready?
And hell yeah, my passport's ready.
All right. I actually have to renew mine. Mine's due up in August. I got to renew mine like now.
Oh, you better do it quickly. Do it quickly.
Yeah. No, it's
isn't it 10 years?
Yeah, it's a 10-year. And actually, funny story. The only reason I have it is because I was supposed to possibly go to Canada with Sam for another show that just never happened.
No, it was Scott Stevens. It was actually the Scott Stevens induction ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time I...
Did you make it into that ceremony or no?
Oh, it was impossible. I mean, it's actually in a mall. It's so small. I mean, we would have to pull off a big stunt just to get inside. And I don't know how we're going to do it, boys. But we're going to have to...
We can at least...
Listen, this is all we need. You get me there. I'll wear a GoPro, and you liquor me up, and I guarantee I'll find my way in there. For whatever reason, if I get a few beers under my belt, all of a sudden I become one hell of a salesman, and I'll find my way into that ceremony.
So
I almost said I'll sit front row, but I don't think that would happen.
So that means we better start an alternate GoFundMe for Beer Baron's bail money. For Toronto.
No. I won't get in trouble. I'll just they'll politely ask me to leave. But it's great because I'll get to wear my $1 million suit, which is the suit that I only own one suit, which I wear for every occasion. Wedding, funeral, doesn't matter. My $1 million suit that I get every penny out of. But dude, you get me there. If we get a chance to go up there, I guarantee the three of us will be in the building for the induction ceremony.
I'll wear that stupid ugly Christmas suit. I will wear that stupid ugly Christmas suit.
And I'll wear my Marty gear. They won't even notice.
Yep. Nope. They'll just look at us. Go. They'll just look at us. Go. Who are these three idiots and why are they in here? That's all I want to hear is why are these guys here?
Who's that slick talking one with the $1 million suit? That's what they're gonna be saying.
We should do a podcast at Wayne Gretzky's too. While we're at it,
I'm down.
Oh my god!
I am down. I mean, like I said,
all of our friends
I'm
and
down to go up
family
just
and-
for the weekend. I'm down to go up for that weekend. So let's make it happen. Let's do a podcast from Toronto that weekend.
Yeah, I'm so stoked that we had Kevin Weeks join us. Thanks, Kevin.
Oh my!
Oh,
gosh.
I forgot to invite the fake Taylor Hall to our broadcast. Yeah,
that's okay. It's okay. We'll get him to resign anyway
next time.
Actually, I sent him an email. I'm sorry, a private message through Facebook inviting him onto the podcast. 'Cause I wanted to see if he's real or not, but he hasn't looked at the message. I'm sure the real Taylor Hall is pretty busy right now.
I'd assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I'm telling you. We keep saying that Shorts Guy is watching our live feed.
I am. I put it back on. I think I should support the podcast by watching it. It's the least I can do is watch our own podcast. Sam went away. Sam said enough.
See you later, guys.
Thank you, Kevin. One of the things that I love about this podcast is our interaction with all of our friends and all the people that join on. So, when I say I'm so happy that Kevin's on here, I really do mean that. It's really fun. Like, it's awesome to be communicating with all of our fans out there and everybody that watches the podcast. And it's cool to get that like real time interaction too with the Facebook Live. To be honest with you, I don't know what your expectations were for free agency. I kind of like had this feeling that it was going to be, hey, if we get something, we get something. Once I saw Carlson was gone, that was the one guy I really wanted to get. And then once Carlson was gone, I was like, all right, whatever else happens, it's okay.
My expectations were just I was actually really excited to, watch it as a fan, but to cover it as well. For the podcast, I thought that was pretty cool. This is the first time it's like watching, with a purpose, which that excited me. I think more than anything, which is really cool.
I agree.
So.
Yeah, and then we'll see. We're gonna see all these little rumors and all these little things that pop up. Huge congratulations to Blake Coleman for getting engaged today.
Sam, what do you got?
Sorry, I just want to also mention we've neglected Periscope and YouTube Live.
Guys.
On many podcasts, and I started looking at our old podcasts on YouTube Live. There's some hilarious questions in these chat rooms going back. So I think we're going to need to do a better job with the YouTube Live folks in a very short future.
We should do an archival show of questions from the archive. For one of those shows, because inevitably it's summertime, we're going to be on vacation at some point. We should just like go through the archive of questions and just answer them and just that'll be the show. We'll just answer archived questions.
Yeah, I would. A question from like last October. What do you think that the Nico Hitcher is going to be like? Well, I can clearly see it's going to be amazing.
How do you think Adam Henrique is going to do for the Devils this season?
I have a feeling he's going to get traded halfway through for Sammy Vatanen.
Yeah. It would be interesting. It just take a look back at those questions and, whatever. We'll figure it out. I need multiple screens. I realized that before the show started today. I need like 10 more screens.
That's kind of like what I'm dealing with today. Like when we started the show, I was all over the place because I had I'm on Twitter and I'm on this and I'm on that. The crazy thing about free agency day is as news keeps rolling in and as things keep happening, I'm happy that we didn't do this at noon because I would have been completely like my brain would have shut down. I would have just been like, boys, I can't do this, and then just laid on the floor.
Yeah, it was. I did prepare myself to just sit at noon and just kind of take it all in and see what was happening, which was really cool. Which I don't know if I've ever really done before. But it was just fun. I like I said earlier, I even turned off. I even relegated the World Cup to my laptop in favor of free agency, which the World Cup has been pretty much what my schedule's revolved around since 2 weeks ago. It was just fun. There was a lot of stuff coming in. I know when I turned it on, it was like immediately there was like bang, 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 deal. It seems to be like all these deals that were already done in principle. It's just they needed to wait till noon to actually hit send on the fax machine and stuff like that. Yeah. Which apparently, according to Sam, they still fax all these important big deals.
They have to.
So
isn't that stupid? I think that's one of the dumbest things, and that's how. And that's not just in the NHL. That's in like every league, and I know that's how like the Cleveland Browns like screwed up a deal to acquire a quarterback from the Cincinnati Bengals or something like that. AJ McCarron. They screwed it up because they didn't get the fax in on time. It's funny because
I had to sign online to buy my house. You're telling me they can't do the same thing? Like,
dude, that's I don't.
It's the biggest thing I'm going to do in my life. Oh well. But, no, it is funny that such a now antiquated technology is the heartblood of all this.
I have to say, one of the cooler things that I saw today, unfortunately, like I was hoping that the Devils, Grabner would come back to the Devils. One of the things that he did is he announced that he was going to the Arizona Cardinals. Wow, the Arizona Coyotes on his own by switching his Twitter, his little icon to the Coyotes icon, and then he announced his own, like, instead of all these other places that are like, breaking news, cool. So and so's going here. So I thought that was kind of nice. But I mean, at the same time, it felt like Twitter for me was like ruining everything because I saw that JVR was going to sign with Philadelphia yesterday. I saw that a lot of these deals were going to happen yesterday, and it kind of takes away some of the excitement of like what's going to happen in the intrigue of what's going to happen.
Those are all those deals that just somehow leak out, or quote unquote leak out, whatever the night before. I mean, hey, I got to hand it to Grabner. He's going to, he's going to a team that's just not good. So there must be something there that he sees that he thinks he can either help with or wants to be a part of.
Constant warm weather.
Well, yeah. But then again, I follow some news, one of the news stations out of Phoenix. And it's like today's temperature is 110 degrees. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, no,
not for me.
Thank you.
No. I'm having enough trouble at 97. So, oh well. I hear the music. Sir. I guess that means Sam wants to go to bed, and he wants to cut the show. So, Beer Baron. Even though we've probably given all of our last minute thoughts, any last words on this day before I let Sam know we're about to cut it?
Happy Canada Day to all of our friends up north. It shouldn't be overlooked. Happy 4th of July coming up very soon. Happy 20th anniversary for Mick Foley jumping off the top of the cage. One of the craziest things I ever saw when I was really into wrestling. No, just exciting. We'll see what happens. There might be some trades. There might be some things. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But it's going to be pretty awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. Happy Canada Day to all our, I think if we have any Canadian listeners, happy Canada Day. And
of course we do.
It's Independence Day on Wednesday, and another important day on Thursday. I get 1 year older on Thursday.
Hey,
it's my birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. So maybe the Devils will make a nice big move for my birthday on Thursday. That would be phenomenal. So,
hey, see, David Holliday's from Canada, and he said, "From Canada, thanks, guys." Hey, heck yeah, man. We love Canada. So,
hey,
if it wasn't for
we
you
are
guys,
now international. We are officially international with that confirmation. The Let's Go Devils podcast, the most commented podcast in Devils history, is also an international podcast.
Yeah, although we did have somebody from Australia watching a couple months ago, if you remember.
No, I forgot that. I absolutely forgot that. Totally. Thanks, Sam. Thank you. So, all right, Beer Baron. Well, I guess we will we'll cut this here. We've gone into some overtime tonight. So, Sammy, we're about to cut it out. So, everyone, happy Canada Day to up north in Canada. Happy Independence Day to everyone here in the States on Wednesday. And as always, let's go Devils.